Never-ending audio presents Otherlands. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 2 of Otherlands, the podcast that brings you fresh work from new authors you may never have heard about every week. This week's story is actually the opening parts of an ongoing episodic series by a great new writing voice from Reddit. Adlaiking has been responding to writing prompts frequently for several months now, and you can find most of his work collected on his subreddit, r Shadows of Clouds. Most of them fall within speculative fiction territory, spanning fantasy, science fiction, and superhero fantasy. 16 and Solitary is his first extended serial, at the time of recording up to 14 parts long, and came from this initial writing prompt. You don't know why the lab was abandoned, neither does the AI that's been raising you since before you could walk. As long as you can remember, you've been inside this facility along with the AI. On your 16th birthday, the AI finally cracks the code to open the door to the outside world. Writing with a very human and natural voice, Adlaiking takes us on a journey of fear and discovery as a 16-year-old uncovers the truth of his history and the outside world. "16 and Solitary" by Adlaiking. Part 1.
It's time for you to do your calisthenics, Miles.
Would it kill you to use a more pleasant tone of voice, Mum?
As I have said previously, your mother was a human female named Monica Starr, biochemist, believed deceased.
I don't know if there are any teenagers left in the world, but if there are, I guarantee none of them have a more annoying home life than me.
Your muscles will atrophy if you do not get exercise. It is detrimental to humans to undergo hypertrophy. The syllogism is quite simple.
There is a pause.
It's time for you to do your calisthenics, Miles.
It is not lost on me that she used exactly the same tone of voice as last time. Growling, I take my earpiece off and throw it against the wall. This is, of course, mostly a symbolic gesture. For one, the headpiece is nigh indestructible, which is for the best, as it's one of the only things in the lab that I can use to vent my anger. And for another...
Miles, your most recent biometrics indicate heavy hormonal fluctuations.
Annie is now speaking to me through the loudspeakers.
Your emotional liability has increased 37.5% as well, initiating protocol Tau 53.
Gentle music begins playing. Christ, is that a harp? And all of the wall displays go from showing simulated daytime to stock footage of forest streams. This does not bode well.
Miles, when a human male goes through puberty, his body goes through many changes. Boys often have strange feelings during this time, but understand that is completely normal. The gonads lower in the scrotal sac and increase in size. Fortunately, the scrotum expands to accommodate the enlarged testes. As sex drive increases, it is also common practice
For the love of all that's holy, end protocol! End it! The harp music stops, and the displays go back to the daytime sim.
I hope our special talk has made you feel more comfortable about reaching sexual maturity. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, one. When the fuck am I going to get out of here? To my surprise, there is no response. There is never no response. I have spent long hours listening to reports on the number of permutations involved in cracking an encrypted code, and reports analysing the chemical profile of my shit and any of a number of other things, wishing, praying, trying to will Annie to shut up. It has never worked. Not once. Was that the secret? All this time I just had to swear at her. I immediately dismissed the idea. I have sweared at her plenty of times. This week alone I've made explicit statements about her parentage, about what her brains are made out of, and a number of other things. And I do know it's all farcical because she is not a she. She's a server array running one of the most complex computer programs ever designed, as she likes to remind me, with personality software running over it. But saying, "You have shit for CPU," doesn't have the same ring to it, and computers don't have parents. Bottom line, there are a lot of things that are easier if you just pretend the only other voice you can interact with belongs to a person instead of a highly specific configuration of silicon and metal. After a minute, I start to get creeped out. Annie? Status, please?
Please hold. The current process will complete in 37 minutes and 7 seconds. Due to current circumstances, this chamber is being put into isolation mode for your safety.
What the fuck? I run to one of the wall displays and switch to data mode, calling information up by hand. If this is the day Annie has gone crazy and decided to flood the whole lab complex with poisonous gas, then, actually, I'm not sure I want to know. But Annie has never asked me to please hold, and isolation procedures always come with a 4, 2, and 1 hour warning, along with the 30-second countdown. And what the hell kind of problem could take Annie offline for over half an hour? Part 2. I navigate the interface of the display and look over the current system status. Everything looks copacetic, which is good, except it would have been nice to see a fire had broken out in Pod 3 just so there would be an excuse for Annie going all weird on me. I start pacing around the room, looking at the same white floor and same white ceiling that has been here every single day for the past 5,000 plus days. Maybe this is some trick to get me to exercise. Just in case, I pull on the steel handles of what I call the foodward and bedward doors. Sure enough, they're locked. So, yeah. Annie! Status! Please?
Please hold. The current process will complete in 29 minutes and 47 seconds.
It was worth a shot. I sit down with one of the portables and access the library. There are broad categories that each have nested subcategories: content knowledge, skills and applications, cultural databases, etc. I'm in no condition to try learning anything, so I go to the culture database and look through my options. You might think such an extensive list of TV shows, movies and the like would be bound to keep someone entertained indefinitely. You would be wrong. I have watched everything in English more times than I can count. My Spanish is decent, and my understanding of French is passable, so I've also waded all the way through that stuff. I am currently on my third pass through the Vietnamese language section. I've picked up very little. Hello, goodbye, and a few other things. But I really want to know how the man dressed up like the tiger ends up saving his wife from the men dressed up like wolves. Spoiler alert, he straight murders them. It's a shame that Mr. and Mrs. Tiger Dude's baby is going to be stolen by what I'm pretty sure is a demon next season. Look, I won't say that growing up in the lab doesn't have any advantages. That would be silly, but what I would say is that being completely protected from the outside world and having automated laundry services and high-tech healthcare is not that great compared with eating textured protein for every meal and never being able to leave. Every day is primarily focused on killing time, which makes waiting in situations like this that much harder. For all my complaining, Annie's schedule helps a ton, because frankly, I would probably do less than half of all the stuff I should, if it weren't for her nagging me. I say nagging, but there were plenty of times when I was younger when it was more than that. Annie goes code yellow at least once a week, and a few times when I was at my shittiest, I got a taste of orange. I'm 100% positive there is a code red, and although I've never seen it, I'm also positive that I don't want to see what happens in Code Red. One of my encounters with Agent Orange actually left a scar on my left arm. The Wolfmen are yelling at Tiger Dude. Even though this is about to be the only interesting part of the whole episode, I stop it and go back to the main screen. I check the time on the wall display. I burned about 9 minutes. All right, fuck it. You win, Annie. I do some dynamic stretches around the perimeter of the room, some burpees, some mountain climbers, some dungeon crawls. I'm surprised to realise that I missed the workout mix Annie put together for me. The songs are cheesy as all hell, but they're upbeat, and that shit helps when you're trying to motivate you to crawl across the room for the 1000th time. I kill a good 15 minutes doing the exercises. Less than 5 minutes left. I know it won't work, but I try it anyway. Annie, I need the bathroom.
Please hold. The current process will complete in 2 minutes and 41 seconds.
I'm not surprised, especially since there are receptacles in every room for situations like this one. So I set a timer on the portable and watch the seconds pass. 161 seconds isn't so bad. I call up the lyrics to one of Annie's songs and start singing to keep myself distracted. As he came into the window with the sound of a crescendo. Less than a minute to go. My head is buzzing. Come on, Annie. She was sitting at the table. He could see she was unable. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I wait. I start pulling the hairs out of my arm, one by one. It's something I started doing the past few years. Annie says it's neurotic and possibly self-harming behaviour, and always tells me to stop. But I don't care, and it seems like Annie hasn't come back yet. My pulse is rushing in my temples. Finally, I can't take it anymore. Annie, fucking status, fucking please!
Please hold. The current process will complete in 4 minutes and 29 seconds.
There are so many things I want to say about Annie's parentage right now. I guess the first numbers were just estimates or some shit. I stalk over to the headset and pick it up just so I can hurl it to the other side of the room. Then I go over and hurl it back, just for good measure. What the hell, Annie? It's a good thing she doesn't have a body, because I am ready to go Tiger Dude on her right now. After glaring at the speakers in a way that some part of me knows is completely futile, I take some deep breaths, trying to do the in through the nose, out through the mouth thing that yoga videos talk about. Silence. For lack of anything better to do, I go back to singing. So she ran into the bedroom, she was struck down, it was her doom. I glance at the clock. That has to have been close to 5 minutes, right? I'm having trouble getting a grip on my hair. When I look, I see my hands are shaking. Annie, are you okay? You okay?
All systems are working within normal limits.
Oh, Annie. Oh, Annie. You wonderful, beautiful, whatever you are. It's good to hear your voice again.
Miles, I have 3 updates for you. All 3 are critical.
I wait. Again, seriously? Today is the day she decides to be coy? I yell, "Tell me! God damn it!"
First, approximately 40 minutes ago, I finished cracking the access code for the access gate. I have confirmed the code still works, and the gate is open.
So, look, I've seen the word gasp written down plenty. I know the definition of it. I've seen people do it in the cultural database. However, what Annie just said makes me gasp for the first time in my life.
Second, the mobile sensor probe I sent out has detected nothing out of the ordinary in terms of atmospheric contaminants or abnormally high radiation levels. Sorry about isolating you suddenly. It was a necessary precaution. As far as I can tell, though, there is no reason why you cannot go outside.
I sink to my knees. If it weren't for the fact that Annie's the closest thing I have to a mum, and that she has no lips to speak of, I would kiss the hell out of her right now. There is no reason why I cannot go outside. I've imagined, of course, dreamt and wondered and pretended. The realization keeps hitting me, a little at a time. What am I waiting for? I jump up and rush to the foodward door, yanking on the handle. It doesn't move. Annie, you gorgeous, dazzling thing, you! Can you please end isolation mode so I can go outside?
Third, please grab your headpiece and exit quickly through the other door.
Bedward, I think to myself. What will it take to get her to adopt these names? And Annie must be out of her goddamned digital mind if she thinks I'm not going straight out the...
I'm sorry to say that while the gate was open, 2 adult humans entered the facility. It is unclear why the probe did not detect them. They are currently attempting to bypass the isolation protocol I have in place. As soon as you exit, I will direct you to the weapons locker.
That was the first 2 parts of 16 and Solitary by Reddit user Adlaiking, read by Jasper Brownrigg. For more by Adlaiking, check out their subreddit using the links below. And to support the production of the podcast, check out www.patreon.com/neverendingaudio. Thanks for listening, and tune in next week for more stories from Otherlands.